So why do crypto tokens burn in the first place? And what happens when tokens disappear? Let's jump into it, class. So the technical mechanism, how tokens are permanently removed. A token burn is not a literal incineration like fire, but it's a cryptographic action that permanently removes a specified quantity of tokens from a circulating supply. This process is irreversible and transparently verifiable on the blockchain ledger. So you can see if it was actually completed and if the token was actually burned and removed. And the black hole address, the burn address. Tokens are sent to a specifically designated verifiable address for which no private keys exist. This is often a publicly known and accessible address like 0 times 000.0000 DEAD. It's an irreversible transaction. Once the transaction is confirmed and the address has been, or token has been deleted, all right, once the transaction is confirmed, the tokens are then locked forever because no one can access the private key associated with the burn address. The tokens can never be spent, moved, or recovered. And transparency and verification. The entire process is recorded on the public ledger, and anyone can verify the burn by checking the transaction ID and confirming the tokens were sent to the known burn address. This trustless verification is fundamental to the burn's legitimacy. So, some economic drivers. Let's talk about deflation and scarcity. The primary motivation behind most token burns is to introduce deflationary pressure by reducing the total or circulating supply. The burn aims to increase the scarcity of the remaining tokens, theoretically increasing their value based on basic supply and demand principles. And we'll talk about reducing the circulating supply. Burns directly decrease the quantity of tokens available for trading on exchanges and held by users, which can lead to upward price pressure if the demand remains constant or increases in a certain direction. And countering inflation. Many proof of stake or yield generating protocols, and proof of stake is going to be the opposite system of proof of work, where you're exchanging power to create cryptocurrencies. Proof of staking, like Ethereum, uses smart contracts and a whole different system in order to create the cryptocurrency. And they have naturally inflationary token insurance schedule. Okay, so that's for minting new tokens. So many proof of stake or yield generating protocols has a naturally inflationary token issuance schedule, minting new tokens. And regular burns can offset this inflation, aiming for a net zero or even negative deflationary supply growth. So let's talk about some psychological impacts of it. Hype, for example. The announcements of a large token burn often generates positive market sentiments and media coverage, serving as a powerful marketing tool to signal commitment to long-term value. So if a token has a fixed maximum supply of 1 billion and 100 million are burned, the new effective maximum supply will be 900 million. And for every holder, their proportional ownership of the network has slightly increased relative to the total supply. So diverse implementation models, examples of token burns. Token burns are implemented in various ways, often defined within the core smart contract code or through a governance mechanism. And understanding the type of burn is crucial to assessing its long-term impact on the network tokenomics. So the fee burns. A portion of the transaction fees, also known as gas. So if you ever heard the term gas, that's going to talk about transaction fees or platform fees, are automatically routed to a burn address. So for example, Ethereum EIP 1559. And that model burns a base fee on every transaction, making the network deflationary during high demand periods. So buyback and burn. The project uses profits, example, from an exchange or platform revenue, okay, to buy its own token from the open market and immediately burn them. This creates both buying pressure and permanent scarcity. For example, that's how BNB does. So, scheduled and manual burns. Pre-announced or governance voted burns, often related to the initial token supply. For example, burning unallocated team or treasury tokens. These are usually large one-time events. For example, initial coin offerings, the opposite of IPOs, initial public offerings. For cryptocurrency, ICOs, they have post-sale burns. And the impact and critical analysis. Let's talk about benefits and concerns. While token burns are widely adopted, they are not a guaranteed solution for increasing token value and come with important caveats that investors and users must understand. And a key benefit, they have an incentive alignment. By making tokens scarcer, it encourages long-term holding and participation. And security. In some proof of burn mechanisms, burning tokens is necessary to validate blocks, contributing to network security. In certain perceived value, it solidifies the idea of the token as valuable, diminishing assets rather than an infinite resource. And criticisms and concerns. Let's talk about price manipulation. Large sudden burns can be used to engineer short-term pumps, potentially leading to instability. And sustainability. If a protocol burns too much too fast, it may not have enough tokens left for future development, funding, or ecosystem grants. And governance risk. Manual burns controlled by a centralized entity introduce risk, contradicting the decentralized ethos. So the whole point of it is to be decentralized, but if they're able to burn tokens, okay, which can be controlled by someone with a lot of money, okay, that can kind of make it centralized, but not everything's perfect in the world, only God is perfect. So, but tries to make it as fair as possible within the decentralized finance space. We do the best we can. So, token burning. It's a sophisticated economic tool that has become a staple in modern decentralized finance and crypto tokenomics. So it's irreversible, okay? So irreversible, that means that once it's done, it cannot be done back again, okay? So talk to me, guys. So if it's decentralized, right, and the whole point of the cryptocurrency space is to be sending transaction from one person to another, but if a large company with a large amount of money can come in, like a whale, for example, that's what a whale is. Okay, a whale is going to be someone who has a large amount of currency. If they can come in and spend a lot of money, right, and control a transaction or burn a token, right, to increase the scarcity. So let's say they burn a token, right, and then they're holding it, right, and scarcity equals demand, okay? So if you guys ever heard of the term supply and demand, supply means when there's too much of something. Okay, when there's too much of something, there's supply, it's available. But when it's in demand, people are trying to buy that today. And the goal of token burning is to reduce the supply, introducing scarcity, putting demand into it, but it's also going to be used to burn things like certain fees, which can help manage inflation a lot. All right, so just think about it. All right, is it something that's going to be beneficial to you long-term wise? And think, the success of a burn really depends on sustained demand and the overall health of the underlying project. So it's not always going to be a positive thing. It's not always going to be a negative thing. It can really help people, you know, with certain fees and stuff like that, but it can also introduce scarcity in certain coins, causing it to just go up way quicker than it may, right? And if anyone's in a short position of that, that could hurt them. So it could really just see what happens in the future with it. All right, token burning, it's something that's there. It's going to keep happening. And whether it's good or not, let me know in the comments. Catch you guys in the next one. Stay prayers to God. Keep grinding. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.